everybody? Welcome back to another video and probably a new series that we're going to be calling Big Decisions. No, probably not. You guys got to think of a better name than that. Basically, we're going to be talking about big decisions Lions will have to make, so let's get into it. Guys, this is going to be a very simple series. As you guys can tell, it's part one because I want there to be a part two. Basically, we're going to be looking at big decisions the Lions will have to make. Maybe some videos are just on one big decision that we can discuss about the whole time. Maybe sometimes like this one, we'll do a list. I don't know. This one specifically is looking at offseason. There could easily be a part two to this, okay, because there's a lot of decisions they're obviously going to have to make. But I picked 5 decisions here to get it rolling. So here are 5 big decisions the Lions will have to make this offseason, part number 1. I'm going to be telling you what I think they should do. I'm going to be telling you what I think they will do. And also, obviously, we're going to be talking about the decision. So let's get into it. Starting off at number 5, we have Mike Daniels. Now, re-signing Mike Daniels is the big question here. Mike Daniels was on a 1-year deal from the Green Bay Packers. We thought this was such a great signing, but he's had to deal with a lot of injuries, which, honestly, there was that chance that this was going to happen because he's had to deal with injuries before. I mean, we brought in a couple of guys that have dealt with injuries that, coming in the season, we kind of knew we're going to have dealt with injuries before. We knew Austin Ryan had injuries. We knew Mike Daniels had injuries. We knew he was out the Packers for some kind of reason. Well, the injuries came up this season, and unfortunately, it really hurt his availability, and we know that's so important in the NFL. So you can put some of this blame on the Lions for going to get guys that hurt. Also, you can put some of it on unfortunate luck that pretty much everybody got hurt this season. So with the Mike Daniels situation, personally, I don't think they should re-sign him, and personally, I don't think they will re-sign him unless he took like a $1 million deal, which I really don't think he's going to take. I think it was like $9 million this year we paid him, and that's a lot of money for 1 year, especially for a guy that played as little as he did. Not a terrible player, just not very healthy, and that's something that we can't deal with. Take that money, save it, spend it elsewhere, go get a rookie, go get another free agent. I don't know. Do something else. It could be another defensive lineman, another defensive tackle. That's fine. But Mike Daniels with the injuries, it's just not meant to be. So let's move on. Coming in at number 4, we have Paul Pasqualoni, or some people like to say pepperoni. Paul Pasqualoni, our defense coordinator. The question is, should the Lions fire Paul Pasqualoni? Now, I'm going to be honest here. My personal opinion is, if we fire Paul Pasqualoni, I don't think there will be too much of a difference in the defensive side of things. I really don't think he has that much of effect of it. I think it's simply Matt Patricia's defense, and, changing this may help a little bit. It may change it around a little bit, but if anything, it's going to put more pressure on Patricia and the Lions to find another defense coordinator to fill in while keeping it Matt Patricia's defense, and they're kind of going to use this as a scapegoat to say, hey, that was part of the problem with the defense, and I could be wrong. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe they'll fire him and they'll go off on the ball defensively, and I'll be like, you know what, I was wrong. That could be the case. Personally, I don't think it matters too much, but I do think he will be fired, and that is the case. I think he's going to be fired, okay? I don't see, with how this defense performed this season, and let's be honest here, keeping him around probably wouldn't hurt that bad because he can't get much worse. I don't see him staying around. I don't think the Lions are going to keep him around. They can say whatever they want about firing him. I don't think he'll be around next season. He gives it number 4. Let me hear your thoughts. Next up, number 3 into the top 3 is the backup quarterback position. The Lions have to figure out this very, very quickly. They have a couple of quarterbacks that we saw this season. They played a lot of guys in the preseason. They tried to sign Josh Jackson back. Didn't work because they said, nope, XFL said none of that. Then they have Jeff Driscoll. They had David Blau. You've seen Stafford. He obviously went down. Jeff Driscoll looked pretty good. The Lions are going to have a big decision on who is their backup next season. We've seen both of these guys play. Blau's going to have 2 more chances at it, most likely. So at this point, I like Jeff Driscoll more. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, no hate on Blau. I mean, there's a reason he's the 3rd string. No hate on him. But I like Jeff Driscoll more. Now, Jeff Driscoll's injury obviously has set him out and has given David Blau a chance to perform. So the Lions simply will just have to decide. Are you going to rock with one of those 2 guys? Are you going to go get someone else? What is going to be? You want a veteran backup? Because these are 2 young players. You're not getting a guy with experience that's going to sub in. Not like a 38-year-old that's played a lot of football, but, he's not the same guy he used to be. Instead, you're getting Jeff Driscoll, who's young, hasn't played a lot, was about to move to the wide receiver position, and you have David Blau, who is young, who's out of Purdue, who beat Ohio State. Had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. Buckeye Troller, if you're watching this, I had to do it to you. So, you have to make that big decision. I would go with Jeff Driscoll. That's what I'm trying to say. If he's healthy, I'd go with Jeff Driscoll next year because I did like what I saw out of him. But I think the Lions may go with David Blau just because of that injury, depending on how bad it is. And they may even look to get a different backup quarterback. That would not surprise me at all. Whether it's them going through the draft and trying to find one late like Bob Quinn usually does. For some reason, he didn't do it this year. I don't know why. Whether it's going to get a quarterback late in the draft or it's going to get an older veteran or maybe even a young free agent. I don't know. Something. I think one of those things will happen this offseason. I'm not exactly sure which one. That one's hard for me. You guys got gotta let me know your thoughts, comments below. Next up, number 2 is Kerryon Johnson. So should the Lions make Kerryon their starter next season? This one's hard. Personally, Kerryon Johnson, he can be the starter next season, but he needs to have a way smaller workload, okay? I think Kerryon Johnson's workload is too heavy. He's obviously has to deal with a lot of injuries, he's having knee problems. You want to make sure this guy, if he is still your number 1, which he can be because he's super talented, don't get me wrong, but he needs to have less of a workload. And if that means moving in Bo Scarborough to give him more attempts, to just mix it up a little bit, Ty Johnson, and just keeping a complete rotation there, and maybe not having a true number 1, but just using it for certain situations. Or it means going to get a big name running back like a Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin earlier in the draft and making Kerryon Johnson your second, or maybe even moving on from Kerryon with a trade. That would be far. Personally, I think the Lions will keep him around. I think they'll rock what they got. They may draft like a late running back and try to fill him in, see what he's about. I think it's going to be a very similar running core, but I do think he will have less carries next season. Personally, I think there's a lot of things you can do here. There's tons of options. I would love a Jonathan Taylor. I'm not going to lie. I think he'd be a huge playmaker. But at the same time, I know how important it is for us to fix that defense because that's where the real concern is. So this one's hard for me. I don't know what I would do. I'm okay with keeping Kerryon around, but his attempts need to go down. Finally, Darius Slay. This is an easy one. The Lions need to make a big decision on Darius Slay. He's got a year left on his contract, so they technically don't even have to do anything with it. And honestly, in my opinion, if they're trying to win, I would keep him around because I do like Darius Slay. But the way it seems that the Lions will probably move on from Darius Slay this offseason. At least in my opinion, if I had to predict what's going to happen, I think Darius Slay will be traded, and he may be traded around draft time. Heck, maybe even on draft night. Maybe on draft night. Do I think that's the best move? No. Well, 1, because I'm biased and I like Darius Slay a lot. And 2, because I think if you're really trying to figure out how to win football games, like someone said before, someone told me, if you're trying to win football games, because next year is such a make or break year for Matt Patricia and these Lions and Bob Quinn, trading away one of your top cornerbacks, even if he doesn't, maybe if you don't love him or whatever, maybe that's not the best way to do it. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but I think Darius Slay is a very talented player that if he goes somewhere else is going to ball out. That's just my personal opinion. I know some of you guys may not agree with that, and maybe you're going to be like, oh, he just wants out of Detroit. He may want out of Detroit. I don't know. I don't know necessarily. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking. I know he talks like he loves Detroit, so I don't know. But I do know that if he goes somewhere, I don't know this either, but I do think if he goes somewhere else, he's going to ball out, and we're going to lose out on a big talent, which we've lost out on a couple of them, so I guess it wouldn't be anything different. So let me know your thoughts, comments below on that one. Personally, I think Darius Slay will be traded this offseason, but I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.